We have Warrior Prince once again, and he's on the Happy video in which we broke down the hypocrisy of Jehovah's Witnesses dancing to Happy, the popular music song. And he protests and says, "The Happy video was fine, and the brothers and sisters did nothing wrong." Let me make this very simple for you. There seems to be some people who are have the misconception about this, and we're just going to clear it up real quick. This is the person who sings the song Happy that Jehovah's Witnesses have been dancing to on TV, as you've seen. This is a worldly person. If you've never seen one, let me break this down for you. He's wearing bling. He's making some sort of gang sign. He has tattoos and a hat that is on incorrectly. This is a worldly person. In case you had forgotten or don't understand what's happening, I just wanted to remind you, Jehovah's Witnesses do not condone worldly people or associate with them. We do not associate with this type of person. I would also like to remind you of maybe you weren't at the same meetings and conventions that I was at, in which we heard from the platform on numerous occasions that the music we listen to is our association. And this is not a figure of speech. A real, actual worldly person is recording the music that you are listening to. Their message is going into your ear. It's as if they are, in a very real sense, whispering into your ear repeatedly, again and again. If Jehovah or Jesus were to have binoculars and they are watching you, would you want them to see you associating with a worldly person? Because when you're playing their song in your ear, that is exactly what you are doing, is associating with a worldly person. I'm not making this up. This is what we have been instructed and taught from the platform of Jehovah's program. Well, there's nothing wrong with the song, though. The song itself has nothing wrong with it. Excuse me. Excuse me a moment. The song Happy. Happy! Is this person happy about serving Jehovah? Or is he happy about doing worldly things that Jehovah objects to? Now, I don't know what this man does in his life, and I don't need to know. All I need to know is that he's not serving Jehovah, correct? He's not happy about going out in field service. He's not happy about going to the meetings. He's not happy about living a life in harmony with Jehovah because he does not live a life in harmony with Jehovah. This man is happy about fornicating or sex or the love of money or illegal drug use. I don't know what this man does. I don't need to know. All I need to know is that he is not a servant of Jehovah. So really, it would be inappropriate, beneath the dignity, and counter to the purpose of Christians living in the final moments before Armageddon to become unevenly yoked with the world that is surely passing away. Excuse me, is this world and its elements not dissolving with great heat and a hissing noise? Am I imagining this, or what's going on? Am I missing something in between the lines? Something's not adding up here for me, and it seems to make sense to everyone else, and I want you to explain in the comment section to me right now how you are dancing like puppets to a worldly person whispering in your ear. Are they whispering Jehovah's message in your ear, or are they whispering something from Satan's world into your ear? Here's my question. How is Jehovah going to be killing this guy at Armageddon now? Imagine that it's the Great Tribulation, the day of Jehovah is finally here, and this man is about to be struck down, and he says, wait. You're the God of the Jehovah's Witnesses? But they danced to my song. And Jehovah says, oh, well, they're just happy. They're just cutting loose a little bit and having some fun. And then this guy says, well, then I can't be that bad. Oh no, you're bad. But your people are dancing to my song. Oh, well, there's nothing wrong with this, huh? Okay, you can live. Well, what about my family? What about my wife and kids? Okay, they can live too. Come on. You can go into the new system. The problem isn't just that Jehovah's people went outside of Jehovah's bubble. They brought this man into Jehovah's bubble. Gang signs and all. How is Armageddon gonna work? You liked real questions. What would you do if Jehovah's Witnesses leaders would arrive on your doorsteps, kneel before you, oh boy, and cry? They would grab your t-shirt and plead you to guide them to the truth and correct path. You would be in charge. Whoa, we're kind of doing a, an outrageous what if occasion here. And it's kind of a variation of questions that I've got before, basically saying, well, what's your idea? But, Jenny, thank you for the question. I do appreciate it. We're getting somewhere. This is an actual question. People say, well, you don't like the Jehovah's Witness thing. How would you have it if you had it your way? It is a legitimate question. And I have a real answer for you. Now, I could give you a very unlikely or outrageous or outlandish answer of saying, well, I'd like them to turn themselves into the police and put themselves in handcuffs. I'd like to see, or I'd like them to walk into the United Nations and confess there. It's not going to happen. We all know it's not going to happen. It's outrageous. What do I want of the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses? If I was calling the shots, what would I want for them? If they came to my porch and say, okay, you're the boss, what do you want us to do? I want you to get jobs. That's all. Shh, shh, shh. The only thing, if I had one wish, the only thing I would ask of the leadership of the Watchtower Society to realistically be able to do is get jobs. 9 to 5 jobs. My only request would be for you to discontinue making your living off of other people's worship and spirituality. And I think virtually every problem that's in the world of Jehovah's Witnesses would solve itself. This is not, you could say, oh, I wish the child molestation policy of Jehovah's Witnesses would change. I wish the disfellowshipping policy of Jehovah's Witnesses would change. But they'll come back to you with a scriptural reason why, oh, well, we simply follow the Bible and this is all very biblical. So you don't like it, but we're doing what Jehovah says. There's nothing anywhere, any Bible says, is talking about the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses making their living, making their money and their livelihood off the backs of the publishers. All the JW publishers that go to the Kingdom Hall work 9 to 5 jobs, and then they go out and service on Saturday, and you could do it too. There's no reason you can't. And I'm taking a wild, wild guess here that many of the issues and problems and everything else that goes on with Jehovah's Witnesses would evaporate overnight if there was no money changing hands anymore. And there's no reason you can't do it. Excuse me. Excuse me. Jehovah's Witnesses supposedly follow the first century model. Excuse me. The first century Christians did not have a JW.org website. They did not have a JW.org compound up in upstate New York. All this stuff. Hey, the first century Christians didn't need it. They didn't have it, and they didn't need it. Apostle Paul was a tent maker. Apostle Peter was a fisherman. They had 9 to 5 jobs, and then they went out in service when they had free time. You can do the same. Oh, but who will print the literature? There's already been hundreds of millions of There's already been hundreds of millions, billions of books and magazines and everything else has been printed up and saturated all over the earth. And you have the website up and running. It wouldn't take that much just to keep a friggin' website going. You don't need all the Caleb and stuff. There's enough. There's enough. At what point do you say, we've made enough books, we printed enough magazines, there's hundreds of millions in them? I'll tell you a story. I was at the county dump one time, disposing of yard waste from my backyard. I went to the dump, and I saw stacks and stacks of Watchtower magazines.
Probably somebody I knew, probably somebody I went to the Kingdom Hall with, dumped them all there. I don't know if it was the Kingdom Hall that disposed of them, or I don't know if it was just a publisher that had a basement full of them. But there was cardboard boxes full of these Watchtower and Awake magazines. We made an entire hill. There was an entire hill of them at our local dump. And probably every dump from here to eternity has the same thing, full of Watchtower magazines, printed by the millions, printed by the billions of trillions of billions. It's been 100 years. You printed every friggin' magazine you would ever need. You've addressed every biblical question that will ever come up. To the making of books, I'd say you have completed your mission. Now it's time for you to get a 9-to-5 job. That's what I want of the governing body. I know you're not going to turn over the child molestation list to the authorities. I know you're not going to go to the police station and turn yourselves in. I know you're not going to be like the Japanese and do the honorable thing and jump off the Watchtower building and kill yourselves. That would be, that is not going to happen. That would be quite a show, wouldn't it? Ah! Flying off the air like water balloons and exploding. Not going to happen. I'd love for you to get, that'd be worse than death for you, wouldn't it? Samuel Hurd, M. Stephen Lett, seeing these guys get an actual job at a lumber yard or a Burger King. I want you to visualize Samuel Hurd standing there. Mark Sanderson, all these motherfuckers getting actual jobs. Like the actual... You can't tell me that's... You can't tell me this is unscriptural, what I'm saying. Or that this is something you just can't do, because this is what they tell every Jehovah's Witness on earth to do. You get a job. Give the money to us. You get a job. Get a job like everyone else. That's what I want. You don't need pinky rings. You don't need big offices on the 20th floor. You don't need these big tables and desks and having these committee meetings. There's nothing to meet about. You've made every rule there is. You printed every magazine there is. You printed you made a brand new Bible. You got your way. You got everything you wanted. You need the $20,000 Rolex watches for Sam Hurd too. You need the pinky rings that... Well, what are these pinky rings? You need this pinky ring club. There is no actual reason that every Jehovah's Witness on earth can't just work a regular job. You don't need district overseers or servant overseer. Everybody knows what to do. The first century Christians, they met in small groups. They met in their homes. Or they met in a marketplace. There's a million ways to do it. You don't need kingdom halls. You don't need jw.org compound. You don't need pinky rings. Nobody needs any of these things. Everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing. Jehovah's Holy Spirit can guide the whole thing, and you can get jobs. You get jobs like everyone else, and you go out and service on Saturdays and Sundays. And every problem that Jehovah's Witnesses seem to have, I think, would instantly resolve itself. The problem of child molesters and elders. Oh, should we call the police or shouldn't we? Well, let's write the branch office. If there's no branch office, then think about it. If you think about any natural occurring event, if you think about steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, the Jehovah's Witness bureaucracy goes away. The Jehovah's Witnesses problems go away. And people solve their own problems. And people pick up the phone and call the police. The child molesters get taken away. There's no nightline. There's no nightline program that's going to defame Jehovah, because there's no reason to. There's no story there. What if there was a grassroots movement of people that just worship Jehovah, went door to door of their own accord, preaching and giving witness to the message that they spent 100 years learning? Everyone knows it. And instead of paying for the big district convention centers and the thousands and millions of dollars it takes to do all this, people just do what they already know how to do. And there's no more scandals. And there's no more disfellowshippings. If somebody isn't living right, then you'll know for yourself. You really need an elder to tell you if somebody is worldly? You really need an elder to tell you that Jonathan Kendrick is good association, and the ABC reporters are are part of... What do you need all this for? You need this there because your God-given sense would tell you that Jonathan Kendrick is the last person you should be having anything to do with, let alone getting married to and getting fucked by. Let you and me be real. I can already tell from this screen name that this person's a douche and I'm not going to like them. Well, they're also on the Happy Dance at Bethel video, and they also object to the whole thing. This is where I called Bethel and complained about the Happy video. Well, they're going to take a counter position here. They say, dude, you're not being honest either. First you say you're from Myrtle Beach. Then you say you're from Eugene, Oregon. Eugene, Oregon is the name of my couch, you see? Myrtle Beach is the name of my living room. By the way, how do you know where I'm from or not from? Well, for all you know, Myrtle Beach is the name of the cul-de-sac I live on. Well, my dishonesty cost me another customer. So you give this guy bringing you the magazines $100, and this gives you the right to order the people at Bethel how to conduct themselves? I've unsubscribed, because frankly, I do not like your dishonesty. But the dishonesty of the man saying that no donations were used in this doesn't bother you. The man lying to me about this being in Jehovah's building with Jehovah's electricity going through the light bulbs was being used. Who pays that electricity bill? Is it paid with donation money? Was that paid with my $100? That was my question, and that's what I got lied to about. But I do not like your dishonesty. You know what? Let's click on... Hey, let's give it a whirl. Let's click on this person, find out what's going on with them. Here it is. Let you and me be real. The person that has to unsubscribe to me because they just cannot live with my dishonesty about saying I'm from Myrtle Beach. And we'll scroll down. See what they are. Well, they don't like people who are dishonest like me. Let's see what they like. Let you and me be real. Like the video. Violent street fights. People beating down each other in the street. It's not just that this person watched this video. They liked it. Then they subscribed to Aussie criminals. Australian criminals and their crimes. Con artists. Scumbags. Murderers. Corrupt cops. Politicians. Rapists. Pedophiles. Subscribe today. You know, this would be an anomaly if it happened once. If you're somebody who is subscribed to me, you may have noted that this is the third person who's been on my channel judging me watching ghetto street fights. This is the third Jehovah's Witness type, or pseudo Jehovah's Witness, whatever you want to call it, that comes on here judging me and then turns around and watches ghetto street fights. Third time. That might be mind-blowing to you in the audience, but this doesn't even surprise me, because I know Jehovah's Witnesses. I know how they think. I know what's going on inside them. They're watching people get beat down in videos. No surprise to me. I know what these people are all about. And I like it. I just really like what's going on lately. And I like being judged by people like this. I like people like this judging me. Feels appropriate. Well, you, however, the viewer may be saying, well, why would this person draw a line in the sand? They have to unsubscribe to you and act disgusted because of your dishonesty about saying that you were from Myrtle Beach, which they doubt that you... Hey, how do you know where I grew up? Is it possible I grew up in Myrtle Beach and in Oregon? But that's where you draw the line. There's one magical type of people on Earth that are the truth. They're the truth tellers, and they always tell the truth. Purveyors of truth. And it's called the truth. It's called the truth of Jehovah's Witnesses. You in the audience may have been one of these truth tellers at one time. Were you one of the truth tellers that went door to door just telling the truth? And then they flipped the switch and you became a liar, right? They read a note on the stage and you went from being in the truth, being part of the truth, somebody who tells the truth, to being a liar. That was fast. How did that feel when you went from being one of the great truth tellers to being a liar? They read your name on stage and you went from being a lifesaver that goes around saving lives door to door with the only truth ever told. The only real truth ever in the history of the world. And instantly they flip the switch and you don't count. And no one should listen to you or believe you anymore because you're a liar. Let me ask you this. Let me ask you one question. Who is responsible for generating these thousands and thousands of liars that exist now? Because there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of people online, former Jehovah's Witnesses, saying, you know, they tell you that it's the best life ever, but it's really not. I lived it, and it's not. Well, those people are liars. They're just liars. Well, what responsibility does JW.org have in mass producing these thousands and thousands of bitter, insane, mentally diseased liars? People so despicable that you, the worldly person, shouldn't even listen to what they have to say. Jehovah's World is creating and generating these people by the thousands, dumping them into your world, and it's your problem now. And the only thing they say to you is, don't believe them. They just keep dumping thousands of these people into your world and telling you not to listen to them. How did the best life ever leave thousands of people bitter? How does a spiritual paradise keep generating demonic diseased liars? Whose only future, only purpose, and the only function for you is to shun them, ignore them, and cover your ears. Upon the will of my biological relatives, I contacted a local Jehovah's Witness elder and said that I wanted a judicial process in order to make things right. And my friends at the time, this happened in 2013, friends at the time said, well, I don't know why you'd want to do that. And I said, well, I have my reasons. And they said, you know, you could have a little tape recorder and it'd be very funny. And it would have been funny, but no, that was not my purpose for speaking to the Jehovah's Witnesses. I did have an actual purpose. And I contacted one of the local elders, requested a judicial committee. Well, the elder told me that they are not comfortable with the idea of me being at the Kingdom Hall because they don't trust me. And I said, that's fine. I just want to confess my sins. I want to get it out of the way, get it over with. And he said, well, I can take this information over the phone. And he got his notepad out. You could hear the pages and you could hear the little pen clicking. And I spent about 10 minutes. I wanted to start at the very beginning. I went clear back to grade school, as far back as I could remember. And I began just a categorical thing in which I just tried to think of every sin, every bad thing I've done in my life, just wholesale, just listing it out. And he was writing it down as fast as he could. And this went on for 5 or 10 minutes. At one point he said, well, can we move along to the big stuff? And we did. We covered, I felt that I pretty much, everything that I could remember or think of that has been a sin in my life, I finally confessed to it, just put it on the table. And after the 10 minutes of listing this all out, the elder said, well, there's plenty here for a disfellowshipping. What we can do is arrange for a speakerphone with the judicial committee and you can plead your case. And I said, no. You see, I'm confessing my sins. I'm not asking for forgiveness. And he said, I don't understand. I said, I'm confessing. I'm admitting the things I've done wrong and owning responsibility for them. However, I do not ask Jehovah's forgiveness. And I do not ask forgiveness from Jehovah's people either. Bible says that sin pays death. I accept my punishment. And I feel that all things being even, I've settled my score with Jehovah. And there's nothing for anyone to complain about, and I have nothing to complain about to him. And the elder said, okay, would you like the committee to notify you of its decision? And I said, yes. If you could call back, I have a brief statement I'd like to read to the committee. And he said, no, that will not be allowed. We will not listen to that. And I said, but you just listened to me confess my sins. Why won't you listen to my final statement? And he said, because we don't trust you and we don't believe you. And I said, but you believed me about all the sins I just told you. He said, yes. Well, that was 2 years ago, and they never got back to me. They were supposed to bring me a letter for me to sign and never did. But it was a very important thing for me. The final judicial thing I had with the Jehovah's Witnesses, I found it affirming. And I always recollect it when I'm dealing with JW commenters telling me I'm bitter and I'm a liar. I remember that little man on the other side of the phone scribbling down my sins. And I could hear his little pen scribbling up and down. As fast as I could list out my sins, he was writing them all down. And not once asking, why? Why would you do that? I essentially gave him an abbreviated version of my life story, and at no point did he ask me, why? What were you thinking when you did that? What would compel you to do that? Maybe you in the audience are somebody that's had a judicial experience of your own. Maybe you in the audience are one of the people who also sat in the back room during a judicial committee. Well, let me ask you something. You're sitting there in this judicial committee describing every detail of your sexual encounter. Because it's very important. The elders must know all the details of how the sexual engagement, this copulation you had with another person went down. We have to know all the juicy bits of what body part went in where, and how, and for how long, and what happened. Excuse me, the moment you walked out of that building a disfellowship person, they stopped caring about you and you stopped mattering, right? Well, how does that work? A few seconds ago, there was a very necessary retreading of every detail of your sexual experiences. It was very, very important. Every detail must have been known and documented for their records. And then you walk out the door, and they don't give a frig about you anymore. Does that make sense to you? You walk out of that building, a disfellowship person, now you could get cancer the next day. You could be in a car wreck driving home from this judicial committee. They give a frig about you? And you start to realize, after a while, that the only reason that you are there is for them to condemn you. That is your function. And that's what you show up for. The only reason they show up, the only time they show up, is to discuss your sins against Jehovah and your obligations to them, correct? Your friends and your family. This JW family. All they have ever wanted to do is play this game of accountability. The game of accuse and incriminate. Demanding explanations for your life. Demanding accountability for your little life and the little mistakes you make. And then after a while you say, wait, yeah, I've done little bad things here or there in my life. It's nothing like child molestation. Your organization is having this big scandal about hiding and protecting child molesters, concealing them from the police. I've made mistakes along the way. Nothing along the lines of child molestation.
And they say, well, we're not here to talk about us. This is about you. You can't make accusations against us. Excuse me, did they say something different that I haven't heard? They say, you can't prove anything. There were no witnesses to that. And they start speaking in legalese. All of a sudden, when you want to talk about their sins, it all turns into word games and twisty-turnies, and you can't prove anything, and, well, it's all how you look at it. And people saying, well, nobody's perfect. Jehovah's people never claim to be perfect. When has anyone ever used the nobody's perfect excuse for you? What Jehovah's Witness ever pulled out the nobody's perfect excuse? Well, how come this excuse doesn't encapsulate you, the publishers? It only works for certain people at certain levels of Jehovah's organization. Let me illustrate something for you. Imagine that you are you have a giant ranch. You're a farmer and you own many livestock all over the world. And you have a shepherd that works for you. You have a shepherd and he has all your sheep together in one place. And you've put him in charge of your sheep. And you go to get an accounting from him. You do an audit of what's happening on this area of the farm. And he says, well, I'm pleased to tell you that 37% of your lambs make it to adulthood. That's a real number, by the way, according to the Pew Research Foundation. 37% of people who are raised Jehovah's Witnesses make it to adulthood, and they're still Jehovah's Witnesses. Would you say that person is doing a good job as a shepherd? Or would you, the farm owner, would you be outraged? Would you be angry at this shepherd? What happened to the rest of my sheep? Well, I taught the other sheep to chase them away. I taught them to growl at them and intensely hate them and leave them for dead. And you say, what? What are you doing? Shepherding. How strange that these shepherds, all they do is talk about your accountability to them. Well, where's their accountability towards you? Aren't you supposed to be the one concealed in their bosom? Excuse me, if you're the sheep and they're the shepherd, aren't they responsible for you? Where is that responsibility? Where have you ever heard anyone own that responsibility? Of saying, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to help you. That kingdom is on the other side of this mountain. I'm going to get you there. I don't care if I have to carry you into the kingdom. I'm going to do it. Where is the responsibility? It's all you. It's all yours. And by the way, don't talk about our sins. We only talk about yours. You know, and I've gotten comments along this. This isn't the first comment I've gotten to this effect. People have messaged me or left little comments to me saying, I don't trust you. And I've written back, why would you trust me? You know, and people are so used to the topic of religion. Anytime there's a religious context of things, or people having this discussion or topic about religion, it just goes without saying that people want something. When have you ever heard, when have you ever been in a forum of religion and people are not wanting something from you or demanding? They want your obedience. They say, you have to believe in me. I want this from you. I need this from you. The ex-Jehovah's Witness, I call it the ex-JW occurrence because there's never been anything like this in history. This is amazing. This is amazing, and people gloss over it. They miss it. The ex-Jehovah's Witness community is a phenomenon unlike anything that's ever existed or been on the internet or TV. Hundreds and thousands of people sitting and talking about religion, and none of them want anything. And that's what people don't understand. They say, well, what's your angle? You don't get it. There is a stigmatism associated with Jehovah's Witnesses. Excuse me, associated with former Jehovah's Witnesses. They are almost universally looked down at. People, and I can prove this to you. Imagine that instead of an ABC News reporter going up that driveway and confronting Jonathan Kidrick, imagine that it was a apostate. Is this still a great news show for you? Oh no. That's aggressive activism. People would be People would be shaking their heads and saying, bad form, inappropriate. You had no right to do that. Who do you think you are? Right? Isn't that amazing? You just switch out the ABC News reporter for an apostate, and immediately this great piece of work, this great news piece, turns into a stunt. Why can't you leave people alone? You had no right to do that. Right? You know, I'm going to be honest with you about something. Every time on YouTube that it comes along and somebody says, "Hey, there's a new XJW on YouTube." Immediately, and this doesn't last for more than a second, and they say, "Well, there's a new disfellowship person on YouTube." Immediately what flashes into my mind is somebody that had sex, somebody that was trying to be a Jehovah's Witness, had sex, gave in to their hormones and their body's urges, had sex, got kicked out, and now they are going to complain about Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I'm not trying to think this way because through very real life experiences, I know this not to be the case. It's involuntary. I don't know why. I'm just being honest with you. Every time I hear about a new XJW out there, the first thing that comes to my mind is there a disfellowship person who had sex, got caught, and got punished. It's a flash that comes over me for like 2 seconds, and then I come to my senses. I remember, oh yeah, I'm one of those people. It's the Jehovah's Witness propaganda machine. I have never known any group of people on earth more reviled, more put down, more trampled on, more disrespected, more told to shut up. I've never known any group of people told to shut up and go away more than ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. Nobody respects them. Nobody likes them. Nobody welcomes them. You want to talk about persecution? Who the frig is persecuting Jehovah's Witnesses? You know who's getting persecuted. You know who's being called mentally diseased and liars and bitter people making up false stories, lying about being molested. You know who it is. It's people who were used and abused by the Jehovah's Witnesses, the victims of the Jehovah's Witnesses. As far as people say, well, JW Fairy Tale, he's a liar. Don't trust him. That's up to you. I mean, it's all subjective. It's all how you look at it. You pull the curtain back, and it just didn't work. And you meet somebody like me in real life, and you're like, oh, I don't think in real life we could be friends. And it's like we have very different lives. I don't think that would work. These little people, these little boxes with Fisher Price people and these little names. These are the people that are my family, and I'll never meet them. And I don't know. It's an indescribable thing. I think ex-Jehovah's Witnesses are some of the most honest people I've ever taught. You're talking about the liars. These are some of the most brutally honest people I have ever talked to. And I'm not talking about a statement they make here or this or whatever. I'm just talking about the way people live and think and act. Click on YouTube videos and you have ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, people you've never seen before. It's the first time they pop up on the screen and they say, Well, I was married to a Jehovah's Witness for 15 years. They were my spouse and they abused me. I remember one video I clicked on, big burly guy, had a goatee beard, big tough guy, and the first thing he says is that he was molested by a Jehovah's Witness when he was a little boy. These are not things that people just usually admit to. I can't tell you how many videos any of us have clicked on and the first thing they said was, well, I fell into immorality and was disfellowshipped. Who are they keep saying liars and false stories. Well, who are you talking about? I honestly don't know who you're talking about. Who's lying? About what? For why? That's the big lie that they say, oh, well, they're telling you that the smiling people on our brochures aren't real. That's the lie they want you to believe, but it is real. You and me be real. Please believe our brochures. Don't listen to our ex-members. Please don't do that and don't ask why. You have Joy Vredenberg, old friend of the show. And she's the lady on the Palomino that said, why do you care? Bother some other religions. To which I asked, may I ask, why would you prefer other religions be bothered instead of Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, that was 3 months ago. And fast forward to 1 week ago, Joy Vredenberg returns and says, I'm sorry. You were right after listening to this. And doing more research, I can now understand how I was taken by the fear they use. This is a lady that was influenced by the Jehovah's Witnesses, and you're getting an actual, first-hand, authentic testimonial. I understand now how I was taken by the fear they use. Would love to see more bold ones as you and others pull us through this. If you are somebody on YouTube who is making YouTube videos, writing comments, responding to Jehovah's Witnesses or people associated with Jehovah's Witnesses. If you're on Facebook and you are speaking to people who are associated with Jehovah's Witnesses, you're going to hear time and again that you are a fool, you are wasting your time, you are rebelling against Jehovah, you are bitter, so much bitterness. The commentary, at times you may feel like you're wasting your time talking to people, telling stories about Jehovah's Witnesses, asking questions about Jehovah's Witnesses. It's not for nothing. And I don't know what to say, but there could be somebody on Facebook or on YouTube or on a chat room or whoever you are, where you are. It could be somebody sitting next to you in your living room. Don't give up. If you have something to say about Jehovah's Witnesses, here's your proof. Here's your testimonial. This person said, I was taken by the fear. This person was captivated by the fear tactics of Jehovah's Witnesses. And then a group of people, a group of comments, a group of videos, something that this person came across, paid attention to, didn't like it first, didn't like it, objected to it, recoiled at it, would have preferred that you bothered some other religions. Go bother the Catholic Church. Why don't you point out the problems with Babylon the Great? Look at all the child molesters in other churches. Anyway, it's not for nothing. If sometimes you feel I just want you to know, the people typing comments, your comments, it may release somebody from a bondage of fear someday. If you I don't know. It's not even like you're really trying to talk them out of it. You're just asking them questions or saying, whoa, what's going on? What are you doing? Many times the people that get snappy with you or get snippy with you or tell you to move along or go bother someone else may be somebody who is being held by a bondage of fear. And you may be doing them a greater favor than you know by not backing down.
People left and right telling you to always stand down, back down. You're so aggressive. Oh, the aggressiveness. The aggressiveness. It ain't gonna hurt anybody or anything for you to get aggressive for 2 minutes. Get up in somebody's face, get in somebody's business. It ain't gonna hurt them. You may be doing a very small part. These people help themselves. You may be doing a very small part of... Who knows better than any of us how to reach out to Jehovah's people? These are your people. These are my people. This is the only background I have. This is the only thing I know. I'm guessing you may feel the same. Oh, I'm from New Zealand. These are my people. Ha 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 ha. I'm a Southern Trinitarian Baptist Pentecostal Lutheranian. Ha ha ha. These are my people. Jehovah's Witnesses are... These are our people. There's no business for outsiders telling us how to talk to our people. Joy, she could be your aunt. She could be somebody's mom. She could be anyone sitting at the Kingdom Hall. I don't know. That's what the story. But whoever this lady is, she's somebody that had that fear, that cloud of fear in their life. And some encouragement or something that somebody said somewhere alleviated that fear for her. And now, possibly, or at least potentially, she has the potential to go forward without carrying the fear of Jehovah or Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever was going on with her. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Appreciate your comments. Appreciate everyone's videos. Appreciate everything everybody does to help our people. People acting like we're attacking people like Joy. You know as well as I do, the people that are leading the Kingdom Hall, leading the congregation of Jehovah's people, they don't care about them. They don't care what happens to them. You think anybody at Watchtower Society headquarters gives a frig what happens to Joy Vredenberg and her pet horse? You know they don't give a frig. You people watching this video are probably the only people out there that do give a frig. Worldly people don't even, they're not even paying attention. You're the only people that are paying attention and care. Potentially, when you reach out to someone, even if they don't like it at first, may make a difference in someone's life. Joy Vredenberg, very nice lady. We're glad to have her here. Thanks for watching.
Something beautiful to give your love no matter what is what she said. I love all of you, hurt by the cold, so
this, or did it, or what's going on? Am I missing something in between the lines? Something's not adding up here for me, and it seems to make sense to everyone else, and I want you to explain in the comment section to me right now how you are dancing like puppets to a worldly person whispering in your ear. Are they whispering Jehovah's message in your ear, or are they whispering something from Satan's world into your ear? Here's my question. How is Jehovah going to be killing this guy at Armageddon now? Imagine that it's the Great Tribulation, the day of Jehovah is finally here, and this man is about to be struck down, and he says, wait. You're the God of the Jehovah's Witnesses? But they danced to my song. And Jehovah says, oh, well, you know, they're just happy. They're just cutting loose a little bit and having some fun. And then this guy does in his life, and I don't need to know. All I need to know is that he's not serving Jehovah, correct? He's not happy about going out in field service. He's not happy about going to the meetings.
He's not happy about living a life in harmony with Jehovah because he does not live a life in harmony with Jehovah. This man is happy about fornicating or sex or the love of money or illegal drug use. I don't know what this man does. I don't need to know. All I need to know is that he is not a servant of Jehovah. So really, it would be inappropriate, beneath the dignity, and counter to the purpose of Christians living in the final moments before Armageddon to become unevenly yoked with the world that is surely passing away. Excuse me, is this world and its elements not dissolving with great heat and a hissing noise? Am I imagining again and again? If Jehovah or Jesus were to have binoculars and they are watching you, would you want them to see you associating with a worldly person? Because when you're playing their song in your ear, that is exactly what you are doing, is associating with a worldly person. I'm not making this up. This is what we have been instructed and taught from the platform of Jehovah's program. Well, there's nothing wrong with the song, though. The song itself has nothing wrong with it. Excuse me. Excuse me a moment. The song Happy. Happy! Is this person happy about serving Jehovah? Or is he happy about doing worldly things that Jehovah objects to? Now, I don't know what this means.
We have Warrior Prince once again. And he's on the Happy video in which we broke down the hypocrisy of Jehovah's Witnesses dancing to Happy, the popular music song. And he protests and says, "The Happy video was fine, and the brothers and sisters did nothing wrong." Let me make this very simple for you. There seems to be some people who are have the misconception about this, and we're just going to clear it up real quick. This is the person who sings the song Happy that Jehovah's Witnesses have been dancing to on TV, as you've seen. This is a worldly person. If you've never seen one, let me break this down for you. He's wearing bling. He's making some sort of gang sign. He has tattoos and a hat that is on incorrectly. This is a worldly person. In case you had forgotten or don't understand what's happening, I just wanted to remind you, Jehovah's Witnesses do not condone worldly people or associate with them. We do not associate with this type of person. I would also like to remind you of maybe you weren't at the same meetings and conventions that I was at, in which we heard from the platform on numerous occasions that the music we listen to is our association. And this is not a figure of speech. A real, actual worldly person is recording the music that you are listening to. Their message is going into your ear. It's as if they are, in a very real sense, whispering into your ear repeatedly.